Hey folks, welcome back to the 10. Welcome back to another Wednesday Q&A session. Where in the world are you? I want to hear from you. I want to know where in the world is easier or harder to deal with eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis. I'm in the UK right now. I'm in Wales and the weather's getting colder and we're still living in this thing right now. In fact, someone's asked a question about it, so I'm going to answer that today. But let's get into today's Q&A session. So the first question I'm going to get to today is from MyLinks14. Greg, what do you think about the NMT, No Moisture Treatment Protocol? For a complete answer to that question, go and watch the last video I made about the NMT protocol. Well, it wasn't about the NMT, it was about not using moisturizers and why I don't recommend any form of moisturization. I really like the NMT protocol. I vibe with it a lot. The only bit that I'm a bit questionable about really is the lack of water, where they try to restrict you to 1 litre of water a day. But go watch that video. I talk all about not using moisturization and why I find that to be the best course of action. Dre Paris has asked, will your eczema healing guide work for facial psoriasis? I thought it said facial paralysis for a second. It won't work for paralysis, but yes, it will work for psoriasis. I've coached a number of people with psoriasis. Next question is from Ezekiel36. I am diagnosed with eczema herpeticum. I live in the tropics. It's very hot and humid here. Can you tell me where I could have got my cold sores from? So as I mentioned in that video, I believe the root cause of eczema herpeticum is very similar to the root cause of other types of skin conditions. Don't really like calling them that because it compartmentalizes them back to the skin, back to a sort of surface level feel. But as you know, if you watch my videos, I don't think eczema is a skin condition, not really. It goes much deeper than that. It's about the whole body's situation. So there's a number of reasons where you could have gotten cold sores from. Cold sores, here in the UK, we refer to cold sores as something that's more in the herpes category of condition rather than the eczema category. And so it could be even an infection. But get yourself checked out by a medical professional if in doubt. Tommy Boyer says, what do you think of probiotics? Also, do you like saunas? Cheers, mate. Cheers to you too, Tommy. Thanks for your questions. I have a video on probiotics, which I will try and link just here. So go and watch that. And that is my thoughts on probiotics. And do I like saunas? I do. Yeah, I think saunas are very useful, especially if you're living in cold climates like the one I'm living in at the moment. There's a reason why Scandinavian people love saunas, because it's really hard to get heat and humidity from the natural weather, inclement weather conditions found this far north. My general approach to life is we should be living in the tropics, especially when you have skin like mine. When your background is from the tropics, then do your best to get back to the tropics. Since I've been coaching, I've been staggered by the amount of people I've coached who are second generation people who live outside of where they were raised. So for example, if people are born in the Philippines and moved away from the Philippines, or born in India, or parents from India or somewhere like that, and they're not living in that warm, humid environment anymore, they've moved to America or Canada or Great Britain. I know a huge amount of people have eczema, and there's a lot to be said for living outside of the tropics, especially when your forebears were living in them. Hope that answers your question, Tommy. If not, drop me another line and we'll get a bit further into it. Moving on. Another one from Dre Paris. What if you have issues with sugar? Sorry about that, Van. Living in a tent, but not necessarily in nature. So what if you have issues with sugar, albeit refined sugars, but sugar in general? All right, so this is where we get a little bit deeper, because, and look, if you believe you've got issues with sugar, you've probably got candida issues, and I just want to speak with you one-to-one, really, and break it down, talk about your diet, talk about your whole life, really, how you've gotten to this point, what's going on in your gut. If you have candida issues, then we need to sort that out first before your gut is really going to respond positively to all these other things that you're doing. And that will be why you have problems with sugar. I mean, no one has problems with sugar in general, because sugar is the #1 fuel source for human beings. It's the easiest thing to get into your cells. Glucose is what we run on. Everything's essentially broken down into that. So yeah, if you find yourself with sugar issues, then you're either pre-diabetic, you've got some gut related issues, and we'd have to break you down individually because there's a lot of gut bacterial stuff to get into. And finally, for today's Q&A session, Irie All Day 88 says, "Hi Greg, thanks for explaining the tense situation. Will you be moving into a house when the weather gets more turbulent?" Quite possibly, yes. Possibly a camper van, possibly a motorhome, and possibly not. Possibly sticking out the tent as long as we possibly can bear it. I'm thinking maybe end of November might be when it gets too cold. Right now, believe it or not, we've got a setup in here which is working out quite nicely. We're not using any sort of foil blankets yet. It's chilly in the evenings and the mornings, but it's not so cold that it's just unworkable. And it's such a nice place to be. It's just so peaceful. And yeah, you wake up in the morning, hear the birds, and yeah, it's lovely at the moment still. And we get so much light and oxygenated air. There's so many pros that at the moment the cold hasn't really put us off. But watch this space. Maybe these videos will be coming at you from somewhere else in the not too distant future. That's it for today's session. Thanks again for watching. Post your comments and questions down below. Questions, if you want them for next week, drop me a line on Instagram at Eczema Healing, or drop me a line on the emails. And we'll see you again. You're free to go. See you next video. Bye for now.